Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're going to be putting together this 11600K Intel i5 11600K build with the Gigabyte RX 6750 XT. And I just gotta say, these two go great together. At 1440p you get really good performance out of these two components. And on top of that, we are going to unbox the Z590 Vision G, and we'll go through that. This thing has a lot of I/O, and you can get it for a pretty good price right now. And we're going to unbox and install the 6750 XT. And the reason why I wanted to redo my intro is that this has a lot of value. Like, it was a really good deal, and I was pretty impressed by the performance that you get. So if you get any value out of this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, leave any of your comments down below, and let's get into the rest of the video. So I'm doing a new build today, and the star of the show is going to be the Core i5, Intel Core i5 11600 6-core 12-thread processor, as well as the Gigabyte 6750 XT GPU, which is an amazing 1440p gaming GPU. Along with that, we're going to go with a 1 terabyte Western Digital NVMe. We got 16 gigabytes of Kingston Fury DDR4 RAM. This is all going to go on the lovely Gigabyte Z590 Vision G motherboard, and we're going to be using the Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 white that I've been testing as the CPU cooler. And that's all going to go in the Deepcool, what's called Deepcool CK560 white case. Now, all of this, so it took me a while. I wanted to get the components that were going to be able to at least not that weren't going to bottleneck the 6750 XT, but I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money. So in total, this entire build is probably going to run me around $800 to $850 US. And I've been waiting as deals came up, buying components here and there. And that, at the end of the day, that's where all of these, or how I got all of these components. And everything I bought here has been on sale, well, except that's just normally $40. That's pretty cheap. But Canadian wise, this was $200 off. This was $150 or $200 off. This was another $100 or so off. M.2 drives have come down a lot, so this was only maybe $60 Canadian or so. And the RAM, 3600 CL17, and this ran me around $60 as well. And I'm talking Canadian, so convert that over to US. And then the case was like $80. It was on sale for like $40 off. So I was able to put together a bunch of really good components for a pretty good price. So your mileage might vary, but in the end, if you look around, you can get brand new components for the price of used components if you're not, if you don't have your heart set on a specific item. So look around and get yourself a good deal. Anyway, we're gonna build this, put it together, and then do some benchmarking to see how well the 11600K pairs with the 6750 XT from Gigabyte, and hopefully it doesn't bottleneck it too badly. I think 6750 XT, yeah, it would have came out around the same time as the 11600. All right, let's take a peek, see what goodies we get in with the motherboard. So I like this. It's a white. It's got white accent and looks like silver. So that should look nice in the white Deepcool case. Take that out. Let's see what do we have underneath. Oh well, this Gigabyte actually comes with a manual, so that's pretty nice. Let's see what else we got here. couple SATA cables.
So I wasn't exactly sure what this was at the beginning, but it turns out that it is a temperature sensor for inside the case. So that's kind of neat to have. And then these here are just the mounting screws for the M.2 drives. There's actually 4 M.2 drives in the motherboard.
And then we got our manual, which is nice to see. Oh, and look at that old-fashioned CD. All right. Yeah, I really like the look of this motherboard. This is pretty sleek. As you can see, it's got the nice silver accent along. I don't know if there's a couple of M.2 drives in there or not. We'll have to take that off and take a look. We got the VRMs. It has a nice white heatsink on top of it. So this should look pretty nice. Let's get rid of all this plastic. Get it out of the way. Very nice. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is plunk the CPU in there. So we're going to line the little arrow up with the little arrow. Comes right off nicely. Let's take a look underneath these and see what's hiding. I don't think that. Alright, what is under this massive thing? Yeah, we got 2 more. So, geez, this thing has 2 NVMe drives there. Another one there. And there's going to be at least 1 more here, but this is extra long, so I don't know if it's got 1 or 2. Okay, there we go. I know. So this comes with 4 in M.2 slots. What I'm curious though, are they all PCIe 4 or are they... So these 3 are linked to the CPU while this one is linked to the chipset. So these 3 are PCIe 4 and that is a PCIe 3. Definitely recommend going with an M.2 NVMe drive over an SSD because they're a lot faster and a lot neater to install because there are essentially no cables. They just slide right into this lovely little connector. screw that in, not too tight. Peel the back off of the heat spreader. Comes with a thermal pad on it. They all do. There we go. Voila. That was nice and easy. So just to go over this board a little bit more, comes with a 8-pin and a 4-pin connector for the CPU. We have, of course, our CPU fan, the water pump fan, system fans. We do, I'm assuming, I don't see it. Yeah, we got some RGB connectors here too. A couple of USB 3.0 connectors, USB-C, and USB 2. No, that's USB 3.2, sorry. So it has all your connectors. We have audio. It looks like a pretty decent audio chipset. What is it? Time to look it up. This is what's nice when they send you a manual, because you can actually look stuff up. Unlike the X670 Gigabyte board I have that has nothing. You have to go and download it off their website. So Realtek ALC 4080 codec, 7.1 channel. Unfortunately, this does not come with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It's nice, it comes with a built-in I/O shield. We got 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, USB 3.2, a USB-C. We got two USB-C, nice. Two USB 3.2 and a bunch, and three 3.1 and two 2.0s or 2s. There's a display port and HDMI cable, and then not sure why they put that archaic thing in there. And then we have all of our audio connectors. So lots of high-speed connectivity options, which is fantastic. You're hard-pressed sometimes to get one USB-C connector, let alone two. Alright, so next, let's install some RAM. So when installing your RAM, you want to you want to have 2 sticks of RAM. You always want to use dual channel for better performance, and they're going to go in the number 2 and number 4 RAM slot. Push down to here, nice click. There we go. Everything's in place, perfect. Awesome. The CPU cooler is pretty chunky, so I'm going to put this in the case first, so I don't have to deal with trying to get around the CPU cooler to be able to get it to the CPU power connectors. Okay, this looks pretty neat. Comes with the GPU brace. That is smart. I'm liking this case already. Alright, so all of the required mounts for the motherboard are already in there. Should be pretty easy to just slot this into place. Okay, there we go. Okay, that was being a little bit of a pain. And I might think it might be easier just to take the take it off. Okay, that is better. So far, I gotta say, this is probably my second favorite case to work in. The Corsair 5000D. That is my number 1. That one's fantastic. This one is coming in at a close number 2. I like the room up there, make things so much easier to move around in. It looks nice. This GPU bracket, that's a pretty sweet addition. The back, I haven't showed you that, but we'll turn it around and look at it. It seems to have pretty good room for cables and a few channels for cable management. Got pretty good ventilation in the front. It does look like it'd be obstructed a little bit, but not too badly. It has some pretty good gaps going along the front plate. And installing the CPU cooler is going to be fun. So first off, had to locate the back bracket that's supposed to go on the back of the motherboard. And then we also need to find, there's a few screws in the bag. You need the screw with the, it's squared just below the head, and that's going to fit right into one of these brackets and hold it nice and tight. And you're also going to need one of these blue little spacers, and it's going to go in between the metal bracket. That's going to go on the back side here, and then this is going to fit through here. So according to the instructions, it's supposed to go in the bottom corner. Can you get that to the bottom corner here, not the top part? So it's going to go the lower part, and these plastic washers are snug, so they fit right over it and hold it in place, which is great. Do that with the rest of them. Let's see if that all lines up. And it does. Excellent. So I'm going to go and reach around front and thread them on. So here we're going to need the two straight pieces right here. This is what the cooler is going to actually screw into. And from here, it's going to go in like that with the two grooved parts facing downwards and upwards at the bottom. Now what's going to hold, and you're going to make sure that this threaded piece that's sticking out is facing upwards, and these are going to be screwed in using these screws right here. So the screw needs to go into the lower part right here, which it looks like on the diagram. So we'll put that in place and we'll see if that's how it fits using the lower part. Just going to get it there on just slightly snug, but not too tight. Oh, yeah, of course you're going to fall. I just need that to go up a bit. Yeah, that's perfectly aligned using the bottom part of that bracket. So this actually does come with its own thermal paste, so you don't need to buy anything extra. And we're just going to apply a little X. Okay, at some point in time, someone's going to come out here. Okay, there we go. You don't want to apply too much, because if you do, it will push up over the sides, and it can leak down around the side of the chip. It's inert, so it's not gonna, cause any shorts or anything like that, but it can cause a mess, and you don't want to get it down in the pins. That can cause a real nasty mess to clean up that you won't be able to because you'll ruin the pins. So just a little bit goes a long way. Once the pressure of the plate is pushed down from the cooler, it'll spread that out nice and evenly. And you'll know if something's wrong, because when you go to do anything, if it starts overheating, you'll know something's up. Now we just need to line up these threaded pins with these screws and screw it down until it's snug. Now the best part to do is just get one side started, screw it down a little ways. Okay, so then get the other side, don't go all the way down, and just tighten it a little bit on each side as you go. And this again, you don't want to do it too tight, you just want it to be snug. And I can tell both of them are caught, so just do a little bit at a time here. I just want the pressure to be evenly displaced as I'm going down. I guess evenly dispersed. Okay, there we go. Everything is nice and snug in place. Where are my fans? There we go. Now these are RGB fans. They come with two cables. One's for RGB, one is for power. They do daisy chain together. So we're just going to install these one at a time and then connect the cords together and push them through the back of the case. And the way this works is it has two clips that go into these lovely holes. You just have to figure out how you want to orient your fans. I'm going to have them oriented downwards with the cable poking down here because that's the shortest amount of distance that's to travel from here into the case. And then these clips are just going to attach into the groove going up the side of the fin stack. And you want to make sure that these are pointed in the right direction because you want the airflow to be pushing from here through the fans out the back of the case. And with these fans like this, it's going to spin this way and push the fan or the air that way. So you want the logo facing outwards. And sometimes, depending on how high your RAM stick is, you might not be able to get this all the way down, but in this case, these Furies are fairly low profile, so it's going to be pretty much all the way down. It's, yep, just a few millimeters off the top, so we're almost down. Thing is, though, we have lots of clearance for the glass panel to go on, so I'm not too concerned about it being perfect. Same with this one. We want, again, the one that's going in the middle. You want the logo facing that way because it's going to be pushing the air through. If you want to know, you can just flick it and you can feel which side the air is coming through. This one should be able to go all, well, cables are cut off. This can go all the way down. There we go. Perfect. And now I can take these and feed them through the back of the case and connect everything up. The part you didn't see me do that I completed off screen is I installed the power supply and connected the front I/O into the motherboard. The one thing that I might have made a little oopsie on and might have to replace the power supply. Let's see if I can show it to you. There we go, you can't see it. yeah, this power supply only comes with one 8-pin CPU connector. There's no 4-pin or another additional 4x4. It does come with 3 PCIe connectors, but only one 4x4 CPU connector. So I'm hoping that 4-pin is only needed for overclocking and will still boot. Otherwise, I'll have to replace the PSU and get a new one. So I decided for my 11600K build that I would go with the 6750 XT. I did a lot of research online comparing performance, price, all that stuff, and in general, this is going to provide a much better gaming performance at 1440p in most circumstances than a 3060 Ti. It's going to be more comparable to a 3070, but it costs less. It comes with 12 gigabytes of VRAM. This one is specifically a triple fan design, and it's not your normal base model GPU. It's a little bit more of a higher tier, but it came down in price. So by it coming down in price, it puts it more comparable with the price of a 3060 Ti for a base 3060 Ti, but better specs. Anyway, let's take a look inside. So honestly, this is probably, as far as 1440p gaming goes, probably your best bang for your buck to get into 1440p gaming with decent frame rates at native resolution, not using any kind of upscaler like DLSS or FSR. Anything else in here besides that? Nope. Okay. I said it. It's triple fan design. It's pretty long. It comes with an 8 and needs an 8 and a 6 pin. And the only thing I think is that right here, this little piece of the Gigabyte writing lights up with RGB, and that's about it. It does not. It doesn't have dual BIOS. Nope. What does it come with? It has a HDMI, so 2 HDMI and 2 display ports. So I think this is going to look very nice in my 11600K build, and I think it's going to pair well with the 11600K. I doubt there's going to be much bottlenecking going on, but we'll find out. We'll do some testing and see. But I think this is going to provide a really good 1440p gaming experience. So let's get it installed. I always like installing GPUs while the case is laying on its ground, or on its back, just because it prevents, screwing up and dropping it. So make sure, okay, that's down. I'm gonna line this up all nicely. Let's see here. There we go. We're all locked in. Perfect. So it is a dual. Okay, it takes up 2.5 slots. You can't use anything in this one because it's blocked, but that's not a bad thing, because if you use this card or this PCI slot, it'll just use up those 2 brackets. Magnetic screwdrivers are your absolute best friend. Okay, that's. There we go. Now I just need to get the power cables. So and we got the GPU seg bracket here, and we'll have to line that up. Seg bracket just has a couple of thumb screws in the back to loosen. I'm gonna reach. there we go. I'm not gonna push up or anything. There we go. One. I don't know how well it's gonna stay in place, but it is gonna prevent it from dipping down. But it's not securely attached. It can be moved back and forth. So we'll see how that works. And then we'll see if the daisy chained PCIe works or if I'm going to have to use two separate cables. There we go. One connected. And then two connected. There we go. We'll tuck this in down there so it's a little out of the way. The cable is pretty flexible, so that'll bend down nice and easy once the panel is on. So let's fire it up and see how well it performs. So I definitely liked building in this case. It was nice and roomy. It was easy to get around as long as you take out the hard drive cage at the bottom. There's still lots of room. You can fit a much bigger card in here. Plenty of room to fit any kind of AIO if that's what you want to use. And lots of airflow.
We're going to start with Assassin's Creed Valhalla at 1440p on ultra high and see what kind of frame rate we get here. So using the benchmarking tool, we were getting about 100% GPU utilization with 51% CPU utilization, and temperatures were staying pretty good at 68 degrees on the GPU and 51 on the CPU, and we ended up with a 75 average and a 60 low FPS, which is pretty good in my opinion. Now moving on to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Again, we're going to go with 1440p. And we're going to set it to the highest settings. So here we're getting about 98% GPU utilization on 75% CPU utilization. Again, temperatures are still staying relatively cool, 69 degrees on the GPU and 52.9 degrees on the CPU. And in this game, it's a little older, so you expect to get higher frame rates, and we averaged about 105 with a low of 72. Moving on to Cyberpunk 2077, which is a little bit more of a demanding game. We're going to go with 1440p and ultra settings. Just turn any kind of upscaling off, so we're just using native resolution. This is getting 98% GPU utilization at 68 degrees, and the CPU utilization is 62%, and we're getting 57 degrees. And we ended this off getting around 53 average FPS with a low of 42, which play around with the settings, you get better frame rate by turning it down just slightly. Now we're moving on to Elden Ring. We're going to set it at 1440p using the maximum settings. Something to keep in mind is that Elden Ring has a cap of 60 FPS. So due to the frame rate cap, we end up using around 90% GPU utilization at 1440p with a temperature of 67 degrees, and the CPU utilization is only at 41%, and we ended up around 51 degrees there. and we did hit the average FPS of 60, but the 1% lows hit around 51, so it was a little bit lower even with the FPS cap. So moving on to one of the newer release games that is still kind of buggy is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. We're going with 1440p with the epic presets. Now this is the most demanding game that I've tested on this GPU. We ended up getting an average with the epic preset of 47 FPS with a 1% low of 38. It did end up having like 98 fluctuating up and down GPU utilization with a temperature of 65, and it was only using 40% of the CPU, and CPU hovered around 50 degrees. Now, this game, if you play around with the presets and just drop it down to around high, you can bump your FPS up to 60 and over. All right, let's jump into Fortnite. We're going to do 1440p on high, but we are going to turn down some of the shadow because this game is oddly demanding using Unreal Engine 5. It does tax GPUs quite a bit. So going ahead and turning those down just a bit. So it did have, we were not CPU bound. We were getting 98% and higher GPU utilization. Again, temperature wise, I haven't seen a temperature crack 70 for the GPU, which is pretty good. And on the CPU, it never cracked 60. We're sitting at 52. I'm talking all games. We're sitting at 52 degrees. So the Peerless Assassin, Thermalright Peerless Assassin is doing a good job of keeping the CPU cool. As you can tell, this game is very GPU demanding. We're only getting an average of 63 FPS with a 51 1% low. So again, this is going to be something where you want to play around with the settings, use the built-in resolution scaler so that you can pump these FPS up a little bit better. But I wanted to stick with native just to show you what the GPU can do and comparing apples to apples. All right, moving on to Modern Warfare 2, again 1440p, and we're going to use ultra settings this time around. Again, to get better FPS, you need to drop the settings down or play around with it. Again, going native with ultra. Extreme would have been a little too much. I've played it before on extreme, and it does tax the GPU a little too much, so I went with ultra instead. So after dying and getting into another game, we're seeing a 98% give or take GPU utilization, hitting around 67 degrees. On the CPU side, we're hitting around that 50% mark, around there. And at the end, during this game, we averaged around 81 FPS with a low of 41. Again, we're on ultra. You can drop down the settings. That definitely boosts your FPS in a game like this. But for the most part, I would say this GPU is an excellent GPU to get you into a level that you can actually play at 1440p on a variety of different games. Even some of the newer games like Elden Ring, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, you're still getting decent FPS. Anyway, again, if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and have a good day.